The sun was sinking behind the Wyoming hills when Clara slid off the saddle with a wince, her face tightening in pain. She tried to hide it, brushing her dusty skirt down. But the moment her boots hit the ground, she gasped. "It hurts. Down there!" Rancher Luke Dalton froze mid-step. The wind stilled. Even the horses stopped shifting. His deep, steady voice faltered for the first time that day. "Clara! What happened?" She didn't look up. Clara Hartwell, the strongest woman he, Nooster-born proud, never asking for help, kept her gaze on the dirt. Cheeks flushed crimson. "I think I pulled something," she whispered. When the horse stumbled earlier, Luke's jaw clenched. He had noticed the stumble. He had felt her body jolt behind him when they rode double across the ridge, but she had brushed it off with that brave smile she always carried like armor. Now she swayed on her feet. Without thinking, Luke stepped forward and caught her by the waist. She didn't protest. This time, her fingers gripped his shirt as if the pain snatched the strength right out of her. "All right," he murmured softly. "Let's get you inside." He didn't wait for permission, just swept her up in his arms. Clara stiffened at first, then relaxed, tucking her face against his chest as he carried her toward the ranch house. Her heartbeat fluttered like a frightened sparrow, and Luke felt every tremble. Inside, the fire crackled low. Luke lowered her gently onto the long, leather sofa. "Where exactly does it hurt?" he asked, kneeling beside her. She swallowed hard. "My hip. Inner thigh. I can't lift my leg without the pain shooting up?" He exhaled shakily. Not out of discomfort, but fear? Fear that she'd been badly injured. Fear that he hadn't protected her. "Clara, I need to check it," he said quietly. "Only if you're all right with it." Her eyes finally rose to meet his. There was trust in them, deep, unspoken, and fragile. "I wouldn't ask anyone else," she breathed. Luke's heart thudded. With gentle hands, he lifted the hem of her dusty riding skirt just enough to see the swollen bruise forming along her inner thigh. A dark purple bloom spread angrily across the skin. "That's bad," Luke muttered. "You tore a muscle." Clara tried to joke, her voice thin. "Guess I'm not as tough as I thought." Luke looked up sharply. "You're the toughest person I know, but strength doesn't mean you have to hide pain." She didn't reply. Her throat worked as she fought tears. Not from the injury, but from the feeling of letting her guard down. Luke stood, went to the kitchen, and returned with warm water, cloths, and salve. He sat beside her, rolling up his sleeves. "This might hurt," he warned. "It already does." A shaky laugh escaped her. He pressed the warm cloth against her bruise. Clara sucked in a breath, gripping the side of the sofa. Luke paused. "You want me to stop?" "No." She closed her eyes. "Just stay with me." So he did. He massaged the salve gently along the bruised muscle. Slow and careful. His touch was steady, warm, grounding. Clara exhaled in soft shivers, her pain easing under his patience. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered after a while. "Yes, I did." "Why?" He hesitated, not because he didn't know the answer, but because saying it out loud felt like jumping off a cliff. "Because I care about you," he finally said. "More than I should. More than I've said." Clara opened her eyes, something in them soft. "Luke, I didn't fall because I was careless. I was nervous. I've never ridden with someone before. I leaned wrong, trying not to touch you." He blinked. "Why?" "Because when you're close," she breathed, "I forget how to breathe." The world seemed to hold still. Luke's voice dropped to a rough whisper. "Clara, if I hold you now, will it hurt?" She shook her head slowly. "No, it'll help." He moved closer, slipping one arm behind her shoulders and the other beneath her knees, pulling her gently into his lap. She rested her head on his chest, her breath warm against his throat. For a long moment, they just stayed like that, her pain fading under the heat of the fire and the even steadier warmth of his embrace. "I thought you'd be angry. I slowed you down," she murmured. He kissed the top of her hair. "If you're hurt, I stop. Every time. No matter what." Clara tightened her arms around him, her voice trembling. "Then don't let go." Luke's answer was simple. I won't. Hours passed, with them wrapped in quiet closeness, the kind neither had dared hope for. Outside, the night settled over the ranch. Calm and gentle. Clara lifted her head finally, her lips inches from his. You did the unthinkable today? She whispered. What's that? You broke through my walls! Luke smiled softly. You let me! Then, under the warm glow of the fading fire, she leaned in and kissed him. Not out of gratitude, but out of love that had been aching to heal just as much as her bruised body. And this time, nothing hurt at all.